You know the feeling. It's been a long, stressful day, and you're thinking, you know what? A glass of wine is exactly what I need to unwind and just get to sleep. It's such a common belief, right? This whole idea of the nightcap as a sleep aid. But what if I told you that that comforting little ritual is actually sabotaging the very thing you're trying to get, a good night's rest? So, yeah, let's really dig into that question. We all know that initial sleepy, drowsy feeling after a drink, but does that feeling actually translate into quality, restorative sleep for the entire night? Well, the science tells a very, very different story.
And this right here is the absolute core of what we're talking about today, the sedation trap. It's the perfect name for it, isn't it? Alcohol sedates you, which makes you feel like it's helping you sleep. But it's a trap, one that springs in the middle of the night, messing with your sleep in ways you probably don't even realize.
Okay, so to understand the trap, we first have to understand the bait. Why does that drink feel so darn relaxing before bed? Well, the answer is pretty simple chemistry. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. Basically, it slows everything down. And this initial sedative effect, it's totally real. It quiets down all those racing thoughts, it relaxes your muscles, all because it's literally slowing down your brain's communication network. This is what creates that powerful illusion that alcohol is this amazing sleep aid. You fall asleep faster, you feel relaxed. So far, so good, right? Well, falling asleep is only chapter one of the story. Because while you're sleeping, your body gets to work processing that alcohol. And that's when the plot takes a very dramatic turn. This is where we see exactly why it's called a trap. See, as your liver does its job and your blood alcohol levels starts to drop, that initial sleepy feeling wears off. But it doesn't just bring you back to normal. Instead, it triggers something called a rebound effect, which actually pushes your brain into a state of hyperarousal. And that is why you might find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. So what is actually happening inside your head to cause this rebound? It's this incredible neurochemical battle. The easiest way to think about it is that your brain has a brake pedal and an accelerator pedal, and it's always trying to keep the two in perfect balance. This breaks it down perfectly. Alcohol works by boosting your brain's main brake, a neurotransmitter called GABA. That's what gives you that initial relaxation. But your brain is smart. It feels this artificial braking, and to keep everything in balance, it starts slamming on its own accelerator, a stimulant called glutamate. And here's the whole process, step by step. 1. You drink, and the alcohol pushes down on the brake. 2. Your brain fights back, flooring the accelerator to compensate. And then, step 3, a few hours later, the alcohol wears off. That artificial brake is suddenly gone, but your brain's foot is still stuck on the accelerator. The result? You're jolted awake into this state of arousal, and your sleep for the rest of the night becomes choppy and light. But waking up is just part of the damage. Even if you don't fully wake up, alcohol is busy behind the scenes, robbing you of your most critical type of sleep, especially during that second half of the night when all the disruption is happening. We are talking about REM sleep. Yeah, it's the stage where you dream, but it is so much more important than that. It's when your brain consolidates memories, locks in new learning, and regulates your emotions. So by messing up the second half of your night, alcohol is directly attacking your brain's most essential maintenance window. This chart shows it so clearly. Look at the first bar, a normal night. You get a healthy, balanced cycle of deep sleep and REM sleep. But with alcohol in the mix, your sleep architecture, that's just the fancy term for your natural sleep cycle, gets completely thrown out of whack. Your REM sleep in that second bar is seriously suppressed. You might get a little more deep sleep at the very beginning, but you pay a heavy price for it later with the loss of that vital REM stage. So right about now, you're probably thinking, okay, I get it, but what about just one drink? How much does it really take to cause all this chaos? This is where the science gets super specific, and honestly, the answer might surprise you. It only takes about 2 standard drinks to significantly delay and slash your REM sleep. Just 2. That's a pretty low dose, what most people would consider a totally moderate amount with dinner. But even at that level, the disruption is already happening, and it's measurable. Now, get ready for this, because here's the real kicker. Remember that benefit of falling asleep faster? Well, to actually get that effect, you need a high dose of alcohol. We're talking about 5 standard drinks. So the very thing people are chasing only happens at a level that causes severe sleep disruption later on. This really just sums it all up. You need a low dose, just a couple of drinks, to mess up your most important sleep, But you need a high dose, 5 or more, to get the so-called benefit of dozing off a little quicker. It's an absolutely terrible trade-off. The perceived upside is tiny and requires a dose that guarantees a major downside.
And this isn't just about one bad night. Using alcohol to sleep on a regular basis creates a really dangerous cycle. First, you build a tolerance, meaning you need more and more to get that same sleepy feeling. It also creates a nasty feedback loop. We know that having insomnia is a huge risk factor for alcohol abuse because people try to self-medicate their sleep issues, which just makes the insomnia even worse. And for people in recovery, the damage can actually linger. This sleep fragmentation can stick around for 1 to 3 years after getting sober, making an already difficult process that much harder.
So after going through the sedation trap, the brain's rebound, the REM sleep robbery, and all those long-term risks, what's the clear, simple takeaway from all this science?
I love this quote from Dr. Avinav Singh, who's a sleep medicine doctor. It is so blunt and it is so true. Alcohol and sleep are not friends. They do not mix well. It is the absolute simplest way to summarize everything we've just talked about. And that brings us to the final piece of practical advice. If you want to protect your sleep, the science-backed recommendation is crystal clear. Avoid alcohol for 4 to 6 hours before you plan to go to bed. That gives your body enough time to metabolize it and hopefully avoid that whole midnight rebound. So the next time you're reaching for that drink to help you unwind, you'll know exactly what's going on in your brain. You'll understand the trade-off. It's not a sleep aid, it's a sleep trap. And knowing that, the real question is, will you rethink your nightcap?